What's up, folks? This is Josh back here from Inside Wrestling Truth. Back with another video tonight. It's that time of the week for another WrestleMania review. We have a couple more of these to go after this one before WrestleMania gets here. Tonight we're doing WrestleMania 8. WrestleMania 8 was held on April 5th, 1992 in Indianapolis, Indiana. This is the only WrestleMania that I've ever been to. Lots of interesting facts happen, that people may not know about. The first one in this pay-per-view is that Hogan was portraying this to be his last match against Sid. It was kind of the story in this. And WWF kind of made it look like it would be, but in reality, he had to disappear for a little bit after this WrestleMania because of the steroid scandal, and that's why this story would even be taking place, and why we wouldn't see Hogan for a while after WrestleMania 8. This was the no blading policy was intact, and we seen two guys get color. We would see Bret Hart and Piper have a match where Bret Hart would get color. Bret Hart's was accidental, but Ric Flair's was not. Ric Flair would get color also against Macho Man, and Ric Flair would get fined some cash for that. Gorilla Monsoon, this will be his last WrestleMania as a commentator. British Bulldog and Berserker match was on the card, but was pulled due to time constraints. Legion of Doom, if you remember, they had an interview. They were actually supposed to have a match with Money Inc. for the titles, but due to Hawk's suspension till after WrestleMania, they had to fill him in with the natural disasters. And there was a dark match on this event as well. The Bushwhackers would defeat the Beverly Brothers in a dark match. Those are just a few of the interesting facts that I thought I would let you guys fill you guys in on that you might not know. We start this show off. We have Gorilla Monsoon and Bobby Heenan doing commentating. We have the national anthem sung by Reba McEntire, or America the Beautiful. I can't remember which one it was. We open up things with a very good match. We have Tito Santana, who is now El Matador, versus Shawn Michaels, who is now the Heartbreak Kid after turning on Marty Jannetty in the barbershop. Shawn Michaels is now managed by Sherry. The winner will get the #1 contender for the Intercontinental title. I gave this match 3.5 stars out of 5. Thought it was very good. Thought it had two guys that really knew what they were doing in there. Tito Santana's always been very underrated, and we all know what Shawn Michaels can do inside the ring. Shawn Michaels will pick up the win in a very good match. 3.5 stars out of 5 is what I gave it. I mean, he would become Intercontinental Champion not long after this. Mean Gene. This is when he would interview Legion of Doom with Paul Ellering. This will be Paul Ellering's debut. Excuse me. This will be Paul Ellering's debut. Legion of Doom, they cut a promo on all the Hill tag teams. Hawk cuts a promo, one of those crazy ones that he always does, talking about Legion of Doom really needs a manager because they're headed in the wrong direction. They need a manager, so they bring back Paul Ellering. We get a good Jake the Snake Roberts promo, a good Hill promo, and then we see the history between him and Undertaker. If you remember, him and Undertaker were disturbing everybody in the WWF at the time. But him and Undertaker would have their problems. Undertaker would slam his hand shut in the coffin at the at the spot at the funeral parlor, and Jake would smack him with the chair, give Paul Bearer a DDT, which was pretty damn funny, I thought. And then when we go to the match, we would have Jake the Snake Roberts versus Undertaker with Paul Bearer. This was a pretty good match. It wasn't that long. Probably could have been better. Undertaker would pick up the win. I gave it 3 stars out of 5. This was only Undertaker's second WrestleMania. This will be Jake the Snake's last WrestleMania for about 4 or 5 years. If you ever watch his documentary, you will see that he was promised a job in the office. I believe it was being booking. It was Pat Patterson's spot, because Pat Patterson was being released for a short time, and they would not give it to Jake, so he would then go to WCW. Mean Gene interviews Piper and Bret Hart. They had a pretty good promo here, pretty good story building up. You know, Piper had won the belt at the was it the Royal Rumble? Yeah, and Bret Hart was the #1 contender for this title. Then we have Bret Hart versus Roddy Piper for the Intercontinental title. This match was awesome. I gave it 4.5 stars out of 5. Bret Hart would go over with the finish on this match was excellent. This match was very good. It reminded me of an NWA match at a WWF event, if that makes sense to you. You know, as a kid, I was always a huge Bret Hart fan, and I was really marking out when he won the Intercontinental title. Bret Hart would get a lot of color. We'd see Piper have a spot where he could knock Bret Hart out with the ring bell and didn't do it. Probably should have. These guys would shake hands, and Bret Hart would leave the ring with the Intercontinental title. We have Bobby Heenan and Gorilla Monsoon at interviewing Lex Luger in his home for the. This is when it was the WBF. Really silly shit here. Luger's trying to put the WBF over. That sort of thing. Then we have an 8-man. Well, first we have promos. First from the heel team, we have Repo Man, Mountie, and the Nasty Boys. You know, by this time, Demolition is no longer a tag team, so Repo Man, this is his first WrestleMania as the Repo Man character. Then we would get a promo from Sergeant Slaughter, Hacksaw Jim Duggan, Virgil, and Big Boss Man. We would have Ray Combs, the old guy, the dude that used to be on the Family Feud. I think he ended up actually committing suicide. But he would introduce the heel team, making fun of all of them. Then we would have an 8-man tag match. Like I said, we have Repo Man, Mountie, and the Nasty Boys versus Slaughter and Duggan, who were a tag team at this time. They would form a tag team right after Slaughter turned face. Virgil and Boss Man, the face team of Virgil, Boss Man, and Duggan Slaughter would go over. This match was all over the place. Not really one of my favorite matches. I only gave it 2.5 stars. There's really not a whole lot to talk about here. Sean Mooney interviews Ric Flair and Mr. Perfect. You know, they're kind of talking about Savage and Elizabeth and etc. Then we have the WWF title match. We have Ric Flair, the WWF champion, versus Macho Man. This match was the best match on the card. It got 5 stars out of 5 stars. Macho Man will pick up the win and become WWF champion. This match had everything. It had a story. It had great ring work and a good finish. And Savage will win the belt. And I believe he would drop it back to Flair months later. Sean Mooney interviews Mr. Perfect, Ric Flair, and Bobby Heenan after the match. They're all going nuts. They're going ballistic. It's a funny, entertaining promo. Then Mean Gene would interview Macho Man. He would talk about being champion again. Macho Man won this match by pulling the tights of Ric Flair. Macho Man's like, you know what? It's not cheating if you don't get caught. When we go to a video package, we would see the history between Sid and Hogan. This would start after the WrestleMania 8 press conference. Between Sid and Hogan, they would squash their problems, become a tag team on Saturday night's main event. But he wouldn't tag in Hogan and leave Hogan get beat to death. Sid Justice would tear up the barbershop. And there's actually a funny scene where he's smashing the barbershop equipment and he has white shaving cream all over his face. It was really funny shit. We have Rick the Model Martel promo on Tatanka. We have Rick Martel versus Tatanka, which I thought could have been a very good match, but it was short, so I only gave it 2.5 stars. Tatanka going over. If you remember, by this point, Tatanka was undefeated. But the match just wasn't that good. I only gave it 2.5 stars out of 5. Sean Mooney interviews Money Incorporated and Jimmy Hart. They talk natural disasters. We have Mean Gene interviewing the natural disasters where they talk Money Inc. We have tag team title match. We have the tag team champions Ted DiBiase and IRS versus the natural disasters. Thought this was a pretty solid match. I give it 3 stars out of 5. Money Inc. would lose the match to a countout, but they would keep the belts. I probably would have gave this match more love on this review if they had a better finish. Natural Disasters would win, but they wouldn't win the tag belts. We have a Brutus Beefcake interview with Mean Gene that, no disrespect, was really corny. We have Owen Hart versus Skinner. Owen Hart would go over. This match wasn't even 30 seconds long. I couldn't give it a rating. We have Mean Gene interviewing Sid. Vince and Hogan have this sit down interview where Hogan's talking about this being his last match. He doesn't know if it's going to be. Vince thanks him for everything. Harvey Whippleman introduces Sid. He's managing Sid now. And then we go to the last match. We have Sid Justice versus Hulk Hogan. Main event. This match, Flair and Macho Man was so much better. I went ahead and been nice and was kind. I gave it 3.5 stars. Papa Shango messed up the finish on this thing, but Hogan would win from a disqualification. There really wasn't a whole lot of great wrestling moves in this match, but it had built up for a while, and it was good to see him finally going at it. Like I said, we would see Papa Shango come in. Papa Shango was late to the ring. I'll explain this to you that don't know. Hogan, Sid was supposed to, Hogan, was supposed to win the match by disqualification, but Papa Shango was late getting to the ring. So they went ahead and disqualified Sid beforehand. Earl Hebner did, and Hogan would win. And then Papa Shango would hit the ring late, and they would start to attack Hulk Hogan. By about this time, out of nowhere, we hear the Warriors music hit, and the Ultimate Warrior comes down. This is a Return of Warrior. They clear house. This was the first time we had seen Warrior return since SummerSlam 91 when he held Vince McMahon up for money. Looking back on it now, for the people that didn't know it back then, it's kind of crazy that Vince would even you know, let him come back, but it's all about money. And back then, it was all about the wrestling fans. This WrestleMania, it wasn't as long as years past. It wasn't as good as 5, 6, or 7. I only gave it 8 stars out of 10. But I just remember being, as a kid, being at this event, and if you ever, it's hard to describe how loud the noise in the crowd was when Warrior returned. Like, it was like a rock concert, or like something you never think you'd hear. But I mean, it was just crazy. And as a kid, you know, I was 9 years old, and you know, you mark out for that kind of stuff and you really enjoy it. But this has just been my review of WrestleMania 8. I gave it 8 stars out of 10. I just thought it lacked matches, it lacked feuds. You know, could have definitely been better. But this has just been my review on WrestleMania 8. Peace.